Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Karma Bryant. How are you guys doing? This is Car Chronicles. All right, let's talk about this. How dangerous can a narcissist be? And I'm thinking in terms of a malignant narcissist, or a narcissist in general when you cause a narcissistic injury. And the crazy part about a narcissistic injury doesn't even have to be something so detrimental. A narcissistic injury can consist of you just saying no and having boundaries. When you learn to have boundaries, that's where it becomes dangerous for a lot of people that are leaving domestic violent relationships. It's not, in the midst of, well, it can be dangerous. Don't get me wrong. We don't want to take that away. But a lot of times, the unaliving rate is higher when a person finally makes a decision to leave out of the domestic violent relationship. And remember, narcissistic abuse falls under domestic violence. That's what it is. It's abuse by a narcissist. A person that has a disorder, has a personality disorder. But, the most dangerous time for most people is when they're leaving out of the domestic violent relationship. That for a narcissist is a narcissistic injury because you're messing up their reputation. You're messing with their ego. Even if you put up boundaries, when you finally decide, that's why most people ask, Dr. C, what can I do in order to, live a healthy life while married to a narcissist? I can't give you an answer to that because as long as you're in the situationship with a narcissist, the cycle never ends. The cycle is continuous and is permanent, and is, the idealization, the devaluation, the discard, the hoovering, and then the love bombing back into the idealization. It gets shorter and shorter. But this is the life cycle of a situationship or a relationship with a narcissist. It never ends. That's what it is. It's permanent. That is the life cycle in that situationship. And the older they get, the worse they get. Now, when we start talking about malignancy, all narcissists are malignant. But when, a lot of times when you say a malignant narcissist, you're also referring to a narcissist that possibly also, well, not possibly, but also has antisocial personality disorder, psychopathy, psychopaths. Those are the most dangerous narcissists that you can be with or to know. And, you do understand that you do have, the classes. You have the somatic and you have the cerebral. The somatic is the one that's more into appearances, sex appeal, how people see them, being attractive, always making sure that they look better than the next person. They look wealthy. They look a certain way. They have to appear a certain way in public. They're very, very reliant on how people see them. A cerebral, on the other hand, they're still very into how people see them, but they're more into intelligence. Some of them are very intellectual. Some of them are very intelligent, but you have to remember that all narcissists, if you watch them, and once you get out of the, that circle with them and you're on the outside looking in, you notice that emotionally they are children. Their emotional responses to things are childlike. And like I said, once you create a narcissistic injury, they have a narcissistic injury, it can be anything. It could be a no. It could be breaking a law and then you holding them accountable or trying to hold them accountable, taking them to court, making them pay child support, putting them in jail for putting hands on you, anything, that a law-abiding citizen to understand that this is the law or this is how it's supposed to be. Or like I said, they look at you as a piece of property. So while you are with a narcissist, you are an extension of themselves. You are a piece of their property, you and your children. And for you to say no, or for you not to do what they're telling you to do, or they want something. They're like little kids. A little kid has a temper tantrum and then you positively reinforce poor behavior. They keep doing it and they turn it up a notch. And so anytime you tell them no, you put in safeguards, you put in boundaries or anything like that, that instantaneously is a narcissistic injury. And how dangerous can that be? First of all, let's look at the definition of malignant. Malignant. Having an evil influence or very dangerous. And some of these narcissists, I'm not going to some of them, narcissists don't ever forget when they have been wounded. They don't forget a narcissist injury. When we were in the military, I remember speaking to people that were pursuing, the enlisted. I was an enlisted. I was a senior ranking enlisted, and then I was dealing with the officers. And I remember they were saying that, if you're an enlisted and you're wanting to become an officer, which is possible, you can go to the Green and Gold program, which is in the colleges. You can, go to college and go to the Green and Gold. You be in the RTC or the OCS, an officer candidate school. So there, you have to get letters of recommendations, and they also do interviews. And I remember one of my soldiers said that during the interview, they asked the question, do you have anything against anybody? Do you think that when you get into a position of leadership as an officer, do you think that you will find yourself retaliating against people? Who's going to say yes? When you do an interview like that, who's going to say yes and be honest with you? And some of them did. Once they attained the rank of first or second lieutenant, or they got onto the officer side of the house, their whole mindset is, I'm going to make everybody pay for hurting me. And it could have been something as simple as reprimand for your behavior, or telling you no, or limiting you, or preventing you from doing something that could be detrimental to other people, because a narcissist is all about themselves. It has nothing to do with you. But what ended up happening was they got into these leadership positions, and even on the enlisted side of the house, I've watched soldiers transition over into leadership positions, and then their whole thing was, I'm going to make everybody pay for the pain that I suffered as a junior enlisted, or the things that have happened to me. One person has caused them to go after everyone, and they're cruel and they're hateful, and they lead by the motto of do as I say and not as I do. Horrible way to lead. But they are very vindictive, and they're the type that's always gonna, get back at people that cause them the injury. And so when you're dealing with a romantic relationship, when you're dealing with a job, a boss, a leader, if you watch them to see just the malignancy, just to see the things that they're doing, if you watch long enough, eventually, all things come to the light. Eventually you'll see why they target specific people, when they target agencies, departments, you, your children, anything else. And eventually you'll find out, even if you look at some of these serial killers that, in history, serial killers, a lot of them pursued people that reminded them of the people that hurt them. Brown-haired women, blonde-haired women, professional women, black women, Indian women, white women, it doesn't matter. They pursued the person that caused the injury, and everyone that reminded them or triggered them from that injury. And so a narcissist will gain leadership, or they gain positions of power, and they come after everyone that told them no. They come after everyone that didn't allow them to do what they wanted to do, even if it means safeguarding the public, safeguarding your children, safeguarding, the laws that are in place, rules that are in place. You go into the courts, the judge deems this person to be dangerous for your children, and they will find any kind of way to pay back the people that told them no. And the more money, the more power and influence, and the more people are under, it's almost like under a blanket of blindness, a sedating, it's almost like a sedation. And it's a fear factor as well. And they use that. It's a fear factor. I'll destroy you, your family. I will destroy, your reputation, anything. They'll do anything. And sometimes they'll sit long enough. They're patient, and they wait long enough for their prey to get them in that trap. And especially if you're dealing with a cerebral narcissist, because narcissists are very manipulative. They're always overthinking the situation to try to win at what they're doing. But some of them will wait long enough to create strategies to get you into that spider web, or to get you into that web where it's hard for you to back out. They get you into that web where it's hard for you, to get out of it or to escape, because they have you locked down like an octopus. And then they will wreak havoc in your life and the people around them. The saying is that they'll cut off their nose despite their face. That your face aesthetically fits, your nose aesthetically fits into your face, but they could care less. They'll cut their nose out despite their face and despite the purpose of the nose. And it doesn't matter. And it's called collateral damage. So if you're in the path of a narcissist that's raging and is trying to get back at everybody, it doesn't matter. They will go after anybody that is in their path. And the more higher position that they hold, whether it's in your life, whether it's in business, in the world, the more havoc they will wreak. It's called collateral damage. How dangerous are they really?